Let's start with a number that changes how you see doing okay. The typical American household does not have a huge pile of cash sitting in checking or savings. The median liquid savings is closer to a few $1,000s than a few tens of thousands. So if you have a decent cushion in the bank, you might be doing better than you think. And here's why this matters. Headlines can say the economy is strong. The market can hit new highs. Unemployment can look low. Inflation can cool down. Yet a lot of people still feel like money is tight every single month. If that's you, you're not imagining it. Household numbers tell a different story than headline numbers. Today, we're going to unpack what's happening inside the average American's finances in 2026. We'll talk about liquid savings, paycheck-to-paycheck living, retirement balances by age, debt, housing pressure, and the big reasons so many people feel financially stuck. Then we'll finish with a simple way to figure out where you stand and what you can actually do next. First, the paycheck-to-paycheck reality. A huge share of Americans say they're living paycheck to paycheck. And it's tempting to think that only means low income. That's not what the data suggests. Plenty of people earning solid money still feel squeezed because fixed costs are heavy. Housing, transportation, insurance, groceries, childcare, and debt payments. When those categories grow faster than your pay, your budget can get tight even if your salary sounds good. Here's what paycheck to paycheck really looks like in real life. You get paid. You cover rent or the mortgage. You pay the car payment, car insurance, gas, and the basics. You handle utilities, phone, and internet. Then groceries and household stuff. Then a few normal life expenses show up. A birthday gift, a copay, a school fee, a car repair. Suddenly your account is back close to zero and you're waiting for the next paycheck. That's not a character flaw, that's math. Now zoom in on emergency savings. A meaningful portion of households have no emergency fund at all. None. So when something breaks, it's not an inconvenience. It's a mini financial crisis. A $900 repair can turn into credit card debt. A sick week can turn into missed bills. And once you're behind, catching up is hard because the next month's expenses don't pause. This is where a lot of stress comes from. It's not that people are dreaming about early retirement on a beach. It's that they're one surprise away from a mess. And that constant pressure changes behavior. People delay preventative stuff. They put off maintenance. They avoid medical visits. They lean on credit cards. The system becomes survive the month, not build the future. So why does this feel worse in 2026, even though you keep hearing that inflation has improved? Here's what that means. Inflation cooling down means prices are rising more slowly now. It does not mean prices fell back to where they were. The price level is still much higher than a few years ago, so your everyday life is still more expensive. Think of it like this. If your grocery run used to be $120 and now it's closer to $150 for similar items, a slowdown in inflation might mean it goes from $150 to $153, not back to $120. The damage to the budget already happened. And for many workers, wage growth did not match that jump in living costs. That gap is the core issue. When costs rise faster than income, your margin shrinks. Margin is the difference between what you bring home and what you spend. If your margin disappears, saving becomes a struggle, investing becomes a luxury, and every unexpected expense turns into debt. This also explains the weird feeling many people have. My net worth is up, but I feel broke. Your home value can rise, and your retirement account can rise, yet your monthly cash flow can still be tight. And daily life runs on cash flow. Your bills don't accept "my house gained value" as payment. Now let's talk about where you stand, because this is where people often get the wrong mental picture. You'll hear stats like, the average person has X saved for retirement, and it sounds decent. The problem is, averages get pulled upward by people with very large balances. The median is usually the more honest benchmark for the typical person. Quick example. If one person has $2 million saved and 9 people have $10,000 saved, the average looks way higher than what most people actually have. The median is the middle person. It answers, what does the typical person look like?
When you look at retirement savings by age using the median, the numbers are uncomfortable. Younger adults often have very little set aside. People in their 30s may have something started, but it's not massive. People in their 40s and 50s typically have more, yet still not close to what many assume is normal. And this matters because the internet loves to make you feel behind. If you're 40 and you have $40,000 saved across retirement accounts, you might feel like you're failing because you saw some average number online. But by the median, you could be doing better than half the country. That doesn't mean you're set. It means your situation might be more normal than your anxiety tells you. There's also the psychological part. When people are asked what net worth would make them feel wealthy, the number has climbed into the multi-millions. When people are asked what they think they need for a comfortable retirement, it often lands around the low seven figures. Those are perception benchmarks, and they rise when housing, healthcare, and general life costs feel expensive. The important point, if you compare your real life to a $1 million retirement target without context, you can feel hopeless fast. A better approach is to compare yourself to realistic medians, then focus on improving your own margin over time. Now, retirement balances alone don't tell the full story. You also have to look at debt, because debt can quietly erase progress, and debt is not evenly distributed. Younger adults often carry student loans and car loans. Millennials often have mortgages on top of student loans, plus the cost of raising kids. Gen X tends to get hit with a heavy mix: mortgages, supporting kids, and sometimes helping parents. Even older households can still carry mortgage debt or other obligations. And then there's credit card debt, which is in a category of its own. Credit cards have become the bridge between income and expenses for a lot of households. The problem is the interest rate. When your credit card charges 20% or more, carrying a balance becomes expensive fast. Here's what that means in plain English. If you carry a few $1,000s on a card and you only make the minimum payment, a big chunk of your payment goes to interest, not the balance. That keeps you stuck longer. It can take years to clear what felt like a short-term patch. That's why people describe credit cards like a treadmill. You're moving, but you're not getting where you want to go. And this isn't about being bad with money. It's about how stress changes decisions. When you're tired, busy, and juggling bills, it's easy to stop tracking every small purchase. You swipe. You tell yourself you'll fix it next month. Then next month comes with its own problems. The balance grows, the interest grows. Now you're paying extra every month for things you bought a while ago. So we've got the ingredients of the 2026 squeeze: higher cost levels than a few years ago, wage growth that didn't fully keep up, heavy housing costs, and debt payments that eat into your margin. Let's talk about housing specifically, because housing is the biggest monthly line item for most households. Rent has been high relative to incomes in many areas. And for homeowners, mortgage rates rose compared to the ultra-low rates from a few years back. That creates two problems at once. Problem one, renters feel like they're running in place. Rent takes a large share of income, so saving for a down payment becomes difficult. Problem two, homeowners with low rates can feel locked in. If you bought when rates were low, moving can mean trading a low payment for a much higher payment. That discourages mobility and keeps people in place, even when they want to change jobs or relocate. So housing can trap people from both sides. For renters, it blocks saving. For owners, it blocks flexibility. And if you bought recently with a higher rate, your monthly payment can be big enough that it squeezes everything else. This also explains the split screen reality. Asset values can rise, while monthly life still feels tight. Your house can go up in value, but your grocery bill is still due this week. Your 401k statement can look better, but your car insurance can still jump. That's why people feel like they're being told one story while living another. Now let's shift from the national picture to what you can control. You can't control inflation. You can't set interest rates. You can't rewrite the housing market. But you can control your margin. You can control your debt strategy. You can control your savings system. And those three levers can change your trajectory, even if progress starts small. Here's a simple framework I like. Stabilize, reduce the drag, build the engine. Stabilize means you aim for a basic emergency buffer, not a huge number overnight, something that prevents small surprises from turning into a credit card balance. Even a starter fund of $500 to $1,000 can change how you experience life. It buys you time. It buys you options. It prevents the one problem becomes three problems cascade. Reduce the drag means you attack high-interest debt first, especially credit cards. If you have a card at 20% APR, that's a steep hill. Paying down high-interest debt gives you a guaranteed return in the form of avoided interest. And it improves cash flow because minimum payments shrink as balances drop. Build the engine means once your foundation is stable and the drag is lower, you automate long-term moves, retirement contributions, broad index fund investing, and a larger emergency fund over time. This is where 401k matches matter. A match is one of the strongest deals available for employees. If you have access to one, it's worth understanding exactly how it works and capturing it if you can. And if you're wondering about Roth IRA versus traditional accounts, here's the simple version. A traditional account often gives you a tax break now, then you pay taxes when you withdraw later. A Roth account is usually funded with after-tax dollars, and qualified withdrawals later can be tax-free. Which one fits better depends on your income and tax situation. The key is to start and stay consistent. Let me make this practical with a few quick examples. Example 1. Paycheck to paycheck with a decent income. Say a household brings in $6,500 a month after taxes. Rent is $2,200. Car payment and insurance are $750. Utilities and phone are $350. Groceries and household supplies are $850. Minimum debt payments are $400. That's already $4,550 before gas, healthcare, subscriptions, or anything fun. It doesn't take a dramatic lifestyle to feel squeezed. The first win is finding one category where you can free up $100 to $300 consistently. That's your first margin. Example 2. Credit card balance carry. If you carry $5,000 at a high APR, the interest can be brutal. Even increasing your payment by $50 to $100 can shorten the payoff timeline and cut total interest by a lot. Small changes matter because they change the slope of the debt curve. Example 3. Retirement anxiety. If you see a chart that says you should have a huge multiple of your salary saved by a certain age, and it makes you spiral, switch the comparison. Use the median as a reality check, then focus on your personal plan. Consistent contributions, low-cost diversified investing, and time. Progress beats perfection. Here's the mindset shift I want you to keep. Stop grading your life against distorted benchmarks. Averages can be misleading. Social media is misleading. And your friend's lifestyle is not evidence of wealth. A better scorecard is, do I have margin? Is it growing? Is my high-interest debt shrinking? Is my emergency fund moving upward? Am I capturing any employer match available? That scorecard is boring. It's also the path out. If your margin is basically zero right now, that's not a verdict on your future. It's a starting point. Your first win might be tracking spending for 2 weeks. Your next win might be lowering one bill. Your next win might be building that starter buffer. The goal is to get off the cliff edge where every surprise becomes debt. And if you're already doing okay, this data is still useful because it shows your advantage. You have options. Options are what money really buys. Options to handle problems. Options to take opportunities. Options to avoid high interest traps. So where do you stand in the bigger picture? If you have any emergency savings at all, you're ahead of a lot of households that have nothing set aside. If you're contributing to retirement consistently, you're ahead of a lot of people who aren't. That's not meant to be a victory lap. It's meant to replace vague panic with a clearer picture. The 2026 economy has a real split. Asset owners may see net worth growth. Wage earners may feel pressure in monthly life. The bridge between those worlds is margin. Margin turns into savings. Savings turns into investing. Investing turns into assets. And that process can start smaller than you think. If you want one simple next step after this video, do this. Calculate your monthly margin. Take your monthly take-home pay. Subtract your fixed bills and essentials. What's left is your margin. If it's negative, you need to stabilize by cutting expenses, increasing income, or restructuring debt. If it's positive, protect it. Build the starter emergency buffer, reduce high-interest debt, then automate investing. The data is heavy, but The takeaway is hopeful. You're not crazy for feeling stressed, and you're not powerless either. If you found this helpful, subscribe to Liam Invests. Give the video a like if it helped you think more clearly. And watch more videos on the channel to learn more about personal finance, investing, and building real financial stability.